First things first, none of the content you're about to see would be possible without this gentleman right here. This is Cyrus. He runs Copper Star Precision. It is a fantastic NRL 22 precision site. And he goes through a really good walkthrough of each stage every month in his yard. And then he goes to the actual match and shows you how to transition that to a real match. He does some really great through the scope work. And honestly, this guy has just been really a huge supporter of my channel and has generously donated his time at no cost to me, just to come out and film my matches for me. And I just wanted to give him a shout out so that you guys could check out his channel. I'm going to throw up just an example of his video and a link here, but check it out. Let's jump into the match. So here is the first, there's 3 matches today. This is the first day of long range. And I'm just getting into my sighters right here. And you can see there's not much mirage. Everything's really clear. And for the most part, what you see through his lens is pretty close to what I'm seeing through my rifle scope. So we're in record now. You can see we pulled up an X. Conditions are really light. If you look at the flags, it's really consistent. You can see they're moving, but it's a really, really consistent wind. A little bit of back and forth. I think I moved maybe a couple lines across this whole match. I'm holding predominantly on the left side of the target here. Shots are going just a little bit downwind here and there. And what I'm really looking for is I'm trying to hold this middle line across the X. So you'll see the white spotter kind of dance up and dance down. But see, that's what you want to do. You're managing your horizontal, so it's centering up. And if you ever check out Eric's channel, you'll hear him say that a lot. Center your shots, center your groups, keep them centered. That's where that term comes from. It's about managing where those shots are falling. Because if I was allowing the shots to kind of trend upward only, then I might lose one off the top or vice versa out the bottom. The other thing that you want to look for, and again, this isn't saying I do it perfect, but look at my body position here. I do move, this leg tends to move while I'm sighting, and then it settles down before I pull the shot. The one thing that I do continuously have to work on, and it doesn't have an effect here, but you're going to see it have an effect later in this match, is watch my head bob. I have a really bad habit of breaking a shot and popping my head up. Now, part of this is, I hate to admit it, because it's part of the electronic syndrome. You get in the habit of breaking the shot and looking at your tablet. I have really been working on this, and it's definitely paid dividends on target. But depending on how you're set up and how this range, like every range is a little different in terms of its incline or levelness from the firing position to the actual targets. Depending on how the angle of alignment is, how you affect your stock is going to throw shots in certain directions. At this particular range, I noticed that if I was not perfect on my body position and I was bumping the stock, I was getting just a little bit of vertical. Again, you're going to see that effect more in the future videos here, or the next couple matches, I should say. Anyway, I was just cooking along here. It was a really good match. I was feeling great. I was really in the groove. Now, really low X count. I was having trouble managing the X ring. It was just twitchy enough for me that I kept kind of playing different angles. I was catching some, just outside, pretty close to the 10 line there. But this was a great relay. I'll take a 200 any day at a long-range national match. I'd like to say that X's mattered to me, but to be honest, they really didn't. All I cared about was this number. I just wanted to be clean. And so I was shooting for the center. I shoot for the X's because if you shoot for 10s, you're going to pull 9s. But, it was a low X count. This is the second match. So this has been, we were down in the pits after that first match for about 2 hours. So you can notice how much more mirage there is. It's a little harder with his telephoto to kind of read the mirage, but this is a pretty accurate representation of how fuzzy the target looks through my scope. I am shooting that Trijicon 10 mile, and it does give me about this view. I can usually discern all of yesterday during this match. I was able to see the X-ring without a problem at full power 50. But this is about what it looks like. So this is my first sighter. I went way down here. I didn't have nearly enough wind on it. You can see the flags here. You can just barely see a flag over here. There's one here and then one here that are pretty easy to see. And you can see they're they're just kind of sticking out right there. Second shot, uh, obviously I still didn't account for it enough. And then you're going to see me go for record here. And I totally botched that one. I don't know what happened here. There was definitely some pickup. I didn't catch it in time, and I got lost. So then I got centered back up. You can see the flags are stabilized pretty good, although this one is just kind of coming down a little bit. And because of how the wind's going, you're going to notice, if you keep an eye on the wind, you're going to notice this flag usually drops, then this one, because the wind takes time to come across the range. And that's something you have to manage. So now it's picked up again. I went downwind a little bit. I think on that one I actually just misjudged it and came in too much. I thought the wind was dropping more. And then this one wasn't bad. Still a little bit downwind. I'm still on the backside of the X there. And this one, so the trick there is, you saw two shots that were downwind, right? And the trick is like, okay, something in this or something in the mirage I'm reading is giving me kind of a false reading, or I'm just not getting a clear read on it. It could be an angle change, it could be a drop in power, whatever it is. I had to get ahead of it, so I got ahead of it. And you can see here I'm coming out on the upwind side, and that's where I want to be. It's easier to control the upwind side. You tend to have a little more forgiveness when things like this happen. I'd much rather lose an upwind 9, which is what ends up happening here. But anyway, that's just kind of where you want to be. So I got ahead of the wind. I'm trying to stay, centered up as much as I can, or on just slightly on the upwind side. But this was tricky. There were some angle changes in there. You're dealing with like a full value coming from 3 o'clock, and then it would kind of switch a little bit from coming from about 2 o'clock. And those angle changes are pretty deadly when you've got some velocity with them. So I'm down 1 at this point. I was feeling pretty good. 12 shots in. There goes shot 13. And this one here, you can see this was upwind. So I think on this one, if you look at the flag value is still showing pretty consistent. I got burned on an angle change on that one. So what's happening is, instead of it going across the field, it was coming just slightly towards me. And that's going to draw the power off, and I just didn't catch that angle change. Got back on it. Feeling pretty good here. And then I did it again. So these angle changes, and these burned me on mid-range. I lost 2 points on mid-range. It's a tricky quartering wind, and those are some of the toughest winds to kind of discern what it's doing. Got back centered up here, and we're going to have a couple more shots. And I stayed ahead of it at this point. Didn't drop any more points, and finished this one out with a 197. Again, pretty low X count. I really struggled yesterday to put the X's with these it's hard to explain, but with these little tricky winds that were quartering on me, I just couldn't keep consistent with that X count. I was fighting for that 10 ring, width, to be honest, and I dropped 4 on that one. Not fantastic, but still wasn't horrible compared to what the field was doing. And we're getting into the third match here. There's my first sighter, and we're dealing with a relatively similar situation here. Now, in this case, I kind of sat on my gun a little bit. I waited, I can't remember what it was, maybe 5 minutes, because we had kind of observed that there was a letdown, and you can see the flags are in a much different position at this point. This one's just kind of dancing, just kind of fluttering down here. This one's just kind of fluttering. And I wanted to jump in so that I could kind of ride the build as it was coming through, because it didn't look like we were getting as many angle changes. And again, through this, keep an eye on my centering up here. You can see that I'm just a little bit high. That last one was just a little bit low. And again, that's just me trying to, you'll notice once in a while, if you watch me, you'll see me reach up and either put a click in, take a click out. That is something that I've really had to work on and keep in mind. And that one was just a little high. You watch me right here. I just took a click out of it to come down. I personally don't ever touch my windage once I'm in record, but I will touch my elevation. You can see there, that got me back centered up. And that could be a couple things. That could be a little bit of condition. It could be my bag settling a little bit. Maybe I didn't have it quite tamped down as much. And that one there, this 9 was me. So again, we talked about this earlier. If you watch me in my head bob, I'm coming off that gun almost before that shot finishes breaking, and I drove that 9 high. That was not that I don't believe that was a condition. And the only reason I say that is I do it again here in a minute. So 2 points down so far. And this was not an easy relay. You're going to see the flags pick up. We're getting a little bit of an angle change. It started coming from more like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Those can be tricky to read. You can see here as it was changing from full value to a 4 o'clock, it would bring you out a little bit. I'm still getting a little bit. I probably should have put another or taken another click out and come down. But I felt like I was managing my vertical. But see how there was 2 shots in a row? Mentally, I should have identified that one and brought it down at that point. I did not. And then when I have a body position issue, it's going to kind of exacerbate that. So a good centered shot. We'll see what the next one does here. I don't remember the order. So I was pretty centered up at this point. I guess I was feeling a little bit better about it. Maybe those last 2 I sort of discarded in my head. Driving through some X's, which, the condition was kind of holding really consistent for me. And then, I started feeling like we were getting a little bit of a change on the condition. That one there, that was the second one. That one was me just whacking the thing and driving it up. And then I took a breath and just said, what the hell am I doing? And settled down. Let's just get through these last 4 shots. Condition changed a little bit. Those angles, so this is an X. That one, I was able to correct for. But when those angles change, boy, they are tricky. It's easier for me to identify when it goes back to a full value and to stay in it than when that quartering angle shows up. And we're just going to finish out here with another 10. And, just a great day. Finished in 6th place. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
We'll see.